Howdy everybody, we're back with some RPG horror stories, so let's just jump right into it. Our first story is from user Doc Bedlam and is titled Taming the Spider. This is going to be a bit of a rant. You want to tame the spider. You want to tame the spider that is the size of a horse, that is in the middle of the combat encounter with the party, being commanded by a triad of drow. You who have no animal handling skills whatsoever, no experience with animals or spiders in your backstory, as opposed to drow, who practically went to high school with them. You are becoming irate with me. You accuse me of not wanting you to tame the spider, who is even now trying to eat you because I don't want you to have a giant spider that you could, theoretically, put a saddle on and ride into battle, because I am being unfair. You who are being attacked by drow and spiders expect that a spider is going to roll over for belly rubs in mid-battle because reasons. Hell, why don't you try and tame the drow? At least they can understand what you're saying. But no, you want the horse-sized spider, and you don't understand why you can't tame a giant homicidal arthropod in the middle of a battle. You have no animal handling skills, no magic, no empathetic powers, psionics, or even much of a charisma score. You're not a ranger. You're a rogue, for potatoes' sake. So, alright, fine. Peachy, how do you want to do this? You open your pack in mid-battle and offer the giant spider a serving of iron rations. No, you vapor brain nitwit. The spider does not want your iron rations. In fact, given a spider's intelligence and diet, it's better than even odds that he doesn't even understand that iron rations are food. And yes, he did hit you because you gave up your initiative to open up your pack and go looking for your lunch instead of defending yourself against the giant fragging spider. Okay guys, hey, I wonder if this DM doesn't like the fact that this rogue is trying to tame a spider. I have personally had a player who, while very intoxicated during the session, tried to tame a wolf. Dude kept trying to mount the thing like it was a horse. At least he was a ranger when he did it, but good lord, some players just do not get it sometimes. This sounds like a situation where the DM really should have a sit down with a player and they need to have a conversation, that this just was not going to happen. It's a little bit hard to tell if that's the exact way the conversation went. It kind of sounds like the DM just went no, but sometimes you really need to sit the person down and go, okay, hey, I get it. You want to tame a spider, but this particular spider is not tameable. If you would like to tame a spider, we could try maybe at another point in time, or a different animal or something, but not this particular spider. Sometimes you just have to like set that player down and go, you listen, spider no tamey, where it's not happening. Sometimes you just gotta lay the law down. Long sigh. No, spiders do not eat dried fruit or jerky or nuts or cheese. In fact, every variety of spider I ever heard of is a fucking predator liquivore who injects his victim with poison, it'd be venom technically, and digestive juices and then sucks him dry like a friggin' milkshake. He does not want your cheese and dried apple. He wants yummy, tasty you. He wants to kill you and eat you in the manner described above. I'm a dick. Why am I a dick? For telling you that trying to tame a monster in mid-battle is an extremely bad idea? Oh, because the spider continues to attack despite your friendly overtures. The spider does not give a bucket of farts about your friendly overtures. Its drow masters command it to attack. This command agrees with its predatory instincts. It does not care if you are friendly. It doesn't care if you fight back. It is going to attack you until your hit points are gone and then suck you dry like Kid Rock treats a six-pack, Charlie. I'm a dick because horse-sized spiders might not be predators. They might just like cheese and dried apples, and I refuse to stop the entire game in mid-combat to break out the monster manual and determine the dietary preferences of spider, giant. And no, I'm not going to do that. And if you don't tell me what you're doing this turn, the spider is going to take initiative and bite you again. And now we're back to, I just don't want you to have a pet spider. To be honest, that's neither here nor there. The drow have pet spiders, Durgar have pet spiders, Ettercaps have pet spiders, and not a one of them pitched a fit because their spiders wouldn't hold still for cheese and dried apples. No, just no. Either fight or come up with some sort of semi-coherent plan with full explanation of why the spider might suddenly disobey its drow masters because you're just so froggin' charismatic with your cheese and dried apples. Why yes, I could explain. Drow and Duergar raise their spiders from hatchlings. They have dedicated animal handling skills passed down for generations, but they still have to work at keeping the little 8-legged horrors from attacking them, particularly when they're hungry. I hear they go through a lot of goblin slaves, especially in mating season. Such is the way of wildly unintelligent, instinct-driven predatory arachnids. But these Drow and Duergar, they know what they're doing. You don't. You don't even know what spiders eat, and yet you want this one to lay down and be your teddy bear. Well, this is what we call wishful thinking. And I'm afraid I'm not going to honor it, or stop the game in mid-fight to provide detailed instructions on how precisely one would go about taming a giant spider. No, there are 5 other players at the table, and I'm going to respect their wish to play D&D, as opposed to stopping the world because you want to lecture on advanced arachnology. Capiche? Ah, I'm a dick, and you don't want to play. Fine. Door's right there. Step away from the table, Charlie, and do let me know when you find a DM who's ready to play the game your way. Okay, that was kind of spicy. So, it's hard to tell if the things DM has said here are what was said to Charlie, the problem player. I would imagine that a lot of this was not internal monologue on the DM's part. Hopefully it was not. Hopefully they were saying no, 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 no. Personally, never be afraid to talk things out. If you have a player or are a player that wants to tame or do something and the player or DM just aren't getting it, talk it out. This could be a simple miscommunication where just things blew up because of the miscommunication. This could also be a player being a pain in the ass and a stick in the mud. It sounds like the DM got really annoyed that Charlie was trying to tame the spider this one time, or Charlie has been a problem player for a while and this is the straw that broke the camel's back, kind of thinking it's the latter in this one. The DM is clearly done with Charlie's shit. Hopefully they tried explaining calmly that they cannot tame the spider. Assuming so, and Charlie has continued to be an idiot, that's on Charlie. Again, it can help to talk things out. Explain that X won't happen because now isn't the right time. Maybe that topic can be broached again later on. Or explain that X can't happen because of Y. For example, this spider is already tamed, and it cannot be tamed by fruit and nuts mid-combat. It's unfortunate when you as a DM end up with a player that just won't take no for an answer. It does happen. It can really gunk up the game and slow things down for everybody else. Best case scenario, when stuff like this happens, save it for a conversation for post-session to see if you can get expectations to somehow align. But this might, and I believe this happened in this instance, be cause for this player, Charlie, to need to seek a new table. On to our next story, though. Our next story is from user Who Took My Name, titled DM Conspired with Another Player to Have My Character Killed, Offscreen. So back some years ago, I went to one of my friend's houses to start a new campaign of D&D with our regular group after having finished a campaign in a different game. We gathered and spent hours crafting our characters. My character was a deep gnome warlock. His backstory included a bit about how he was used as a slave in a drow household and escaped to the surface with the help and support of his patron. Understandably, this character did not like drow. I made my character, his backstory, and bias all known multiple times during the character process to both the DM and other players. One of the players didn't necessarily hide the fact, but did not announce, I'm making a drow. Honestly, I was still cool with this. I thought it would be a good opportunity to roleplay the character overcoming his prejudice to realize not all drow were evil. As we started this, other players assured us that this was an okay dynamic of our characters. At no time was I ever told I took it too far or to tone anything down. My character would mumble under his breath and generally be distrustful of this drow character. Well, apparently this other character took my in-game roleplay personally, and during a break about 3 hours into the first actual session, took the DM into a bedroom in the back and had a conversation. Once we all came back and sat down, I was told, "Make a new character. Your character was abducted while he was sleeping and will not be coming back." I would later find out about all this that he was offended that they discussed just killing my character off screen instead of talking to me at all. I made another character, turned out to be a joke character. My heart just wasn't in it. Never went back and gamed with this group again after we had been gaming for like 15 years. Tried a few times to find a new group, but nothing's really worked out so far. Still a little hopeful, lol. Okay, this just straight up sounds like a DM problem. The DM really should have either stopped gameplay to ask OP to turn it down, or waited until after the session and sat both players down to talk it out. Let drow player air out their issues about how their PC is being treated. Let OP perhaps spell out their intentions more clearly for their PC to grow and become less hateful towards drow as a whole. At the right table, a dynamic like this could make for interesting RP, but you have to be really careful with it. One player, or their PC in particular here, being too hateful, racist, etc. towards another PC can be seen as an attack on the player that owns that PC, or it could end up becoming disruptive if it's too much at the table. In these situations, it is on the DM to police this in a timely manner or make sure the correct discussions are in fact happening. It sounds like here that the DM jumped to conclusions based off of one player complaining, and they probably took him in the back and berated the shit out of them and just decided to remove OP's character when really a conversation with OP should have occurred beforehand. Because things like this, unfortunately, with the way this was handled, can cause long-running tables and friendships, because if you play D&D or TTRPGs with somebody for 15 years, you're definitely friends with the people at that table. You lose out on those friends. And that's a damn shame. Quick segue real quick. I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/VanDavy. Links are down in the description down below. If you enjoy stuff on Twitch, I would love it if you dropped a follow and came and hung out sometime. I've been doing a lot of different games recently. I've been doing Dune Awakening. I have been doing RimWorld. We have been doing Elden Ring Night Rain. I've been enjoying all those games so far. So if you do want to hang out and maybe talk TTRPGs or just hang out, I would love to have you. But let's jump to our last story. Our last story is going to be from the user The Fox and the Raven. I love that name, by the way, and is titled, "Had a Player Issue an Ultimatum to Me, the DM, during a Session." I feel like this is fairly mild as RPG horror stories go, but it still threw me for a loop. This past Friday, I ran a session with my players exploring an abandoned cursed city. We had left off the previous week with the party having made their way inside and gotten lost as the building seemed to shift around them. They had just made it to an inn with a glowing golden light inside and a face looking out at them from a window. The inn was a protected safe zone made so by an act of divine intervention on behalf of a paladin inside. The character looking out the window was a new player who was just joining the group. This week, we picked back up with some discussion between characters about plans for navigating the city, introduction to the new character, etc. They each had a little downtime for preparations before turning in for the night, and then I had the party member's employer, a witch, visit the new character in a dream. We got to learn the new character's motivations as a deal was struck in exchange for their services in helping the party on their quest to retrieve a MacGuffin. Throughout this, the problem player kept cutting others off and trying to rush things along.
Yeah, we all go to sleep and then wake up rested. Now we're exploring the city.
And
great, we carry out the plan we made and we got to where we were headed. What's next?
In the midst of our other characters still talking to NPCs, gathering information, or role-playing amongst themselves as they talk to the new character, I had an eye on the clock and things were moving along at a good pace. We just had some story things that needed to play out. That wasn't sitting well with this player, who just continued to be rude and pushy. It got to the point where two other players were DMing me, asking me what was up with this guy. Okay, so maybe problem player was one who just really enjoys combat. I know there are players who prefer it more than the RP portion of the game and really wanted to get to combat. I will say this, patience is a virtue. If you're going to play TTRPGs, you need to be okay with other players getting the spotlight time for things, or things other than your favorite parts of the games being the center of attention for the time. For example, RP instead of combat. Let's see where the story goes though. The paladin makes a show of taking down the barrier protecting the inn, and the party set out, quickly getting lost by the shifting buildings. They had surmised that light was part of the solution. As the city was blanketed by heavy clouds and the days were being perceived as being unnaturally shortened, but they initially held off on using either the druid's daylight spell or a magic orb that I had given them previously for fear that their resources would need to be conserved. Finally, they chose to cast the daylight spell on the problem player's arrow while the rogue climbed on a nearby building. They fired the arrow, revealing a path forward, and gave the rogue a brief glimpse of the true layout of the city's streets. That's where things came to a head. Problem player cutting off the rogue mid-sentence as he was telling the party what he saw.
Great! Sunlight was the answer. We get to the castle at the center of the city. What do we find?
DM. Hold on, rogue. You were saying?
Problem player. If the next words out of your mouth aren't, "You arrive at the castle, then I'm gone."
The DM. Are you kidding me? Rogue. You climb back down the rope to the street below, and Discord chimes as problem player disconnects. Perhaps it took the party a really long time to figure out this quote-unquote puzzle here. Sometimes players have issues solving puzzles, especially ones with simple answers. Sorry guys, and by guys I mean players, y'all overthink stuff sometimes. That being said, problem player is an asshole for cutting off the other players consistently and then rage quitting when the DM doesn't jump ahead in the story to where they want to be. The shadows then flow out from between the nearby buildings like a black, inky liquid. The many streams of shadow pool together in the street ahead, and then the liquid begins to drip upwards, forming into the shape of a figure. So, 30 seconds after the impatient asshole disconnects, we were rolling for initiative for the combat that he had apparently couldn't wait to get to. He started texting me immediately afterwards. I sent him a message saying that I'd reach out in a few days to talk, but I didn't want to waste any more time on him. I was, and still am, annoyed. I apologized to the other players and we carried on. The new player, in her first ever D&D combat, did a great job in the opening rounds and will pick it up mid-encounter this next Friday. Perhaps problem player was having an off day here, but I kind of doubt that's the case. It might be time for problem player to find a new table if they cannot chill out. I'd recommend this DM sit down and talk to them, let them know that they cannot be trying to rush things and that you, as the DM, work to keep a good pace going. If they, as a player, have issues about the pacing, they can always find a new table, or they should make those issues known to you, the DM, outside of game. Let them know if they continue to have outbursts and disruptions that they may not be welcome back at the table. So that being said, thank you guys all for hanging out. That is going to be it for today. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. I love getting to read all your guys' comments. Do catch me on Twitch and follow me on Twitch if you have not and that's something that interests you. Otherwise, I will see you guys all in the next one. Bye everybody.